All right. Cheers. It feels good to drink wine after catching COVID. It's safe. I am no longer taking any medication. Tim, if you're watching, thank you. Salute. That tastes great. Thank you for the wine, Tim, and to all of the supporters of tonight's live show. Thanks to all the co-producers who support Total OS through Patreon and PayPal. Thank you very much. I feel better. I'm not 100%, but I feel good enough to do this quick show for Monday night. I don't often do a show Monday night, but my life hasn't been normal for the last 2 weeks. First breaking my foot, and then getting sick. Well, I wanted an exciting summer, so I have it. So for tonight, we'll talk about Chromebooks, an expired Chromebook, and what you can do with an expired Chromebook. This will not be a full tutorial. Again, I'm not quite 100% back. My throat's still a little sore, stuffy nose, but I think I'm good enough to do a short live show for tonight. This was not scheduled, so I'm sure I'll miss probably all of you. You can catch this on the replay. Maybe I'll do something, schedule something this weekend once I get my voice 100% back, hopefully. But I'm okay. My foot's still sore, but I'm okay. All right. Chromebooks. I've got a question. I received a comment or a question about someone had bought a new Chromebook in 2019 and it expired. The updates expired on the Chromebook, and that person asked, how was that possible? I forget the name of that person. Sorry about that. But somebody asked, how can a 3-year-old Chromebook that was bought new expire, have the updates expire already? Well, the answer is simple. Because when you bought it, the Chromebook was not new. It may have been a new purchase for you. The thing about Chromebooks, the purchase date and the manufacturing date may not necessarily be the same. For example, if you have an expired Chromebook you bought in 2019 and expired after only 3 years, Chromebooks, you should get at least 5 years updates from Google, at least 5 years. So if it's only 3 years old, chances are that Chromebook you bought in 2019 was probably manufactured in 2017. And maybe you didn't think about it, you didn't really check it. Probably a lot of consumers don't. They think, oh, I have a new Chromebook or refurbished one or used one. It's almost new or new, and I'll get up to 8 years of support. Chromebooks that are manufactured 2020, 2020 or beyond, you get up to 8 years of support. That's not bad for a Chromebook that starts at $200 or higher. But the answer to that person's question, if you have a 3-year-old Chromebook that expired, it was not manufactured new when you bought it, even though it was a new purchase for you, if that makes any sense. Okay, I hope that helps you out and somebody else who's thinking about buying a Chromebook. What can you do with an expired Chromebook? Well, I have an Acer 15, Chromebook 15. It's on my charger, so I can't show you. It's a nice Chromebook. It has the boombox speakers on the top left, right of the laptop by the keyboard. It sounds great. So I don't want to, get rid of it yet because it still works. It's slowed down over the years, but it works. The updates expire June 1st, just about 5 days ago. So a little pop-up from Google says, hey, this is the last update. Time for you to buy a new Chromebook. I'm like, no. Chromebooks very quietly have become the default Linux desktop for the masses over the course of 10, 11 years. They're affordable, they're secure, and there's no maintenance. And Linux to me means endless possibilities. Anyway, my Chromebook Acer 15 expired. Still works. It's slowed down, but it still works. But just like anything else, you should not be running a system, a computer with expired, especially security updates. You may not need the feature updates, but if you're not getting security updates, that's a no-no. And the whole purpose of a Chromebook is to be speedy and secure, obviously. So if you have an expired Chromebook, there's three options. You can wipe it, give it to someone, donate it. I suppose you can recycle it, throw it away. You can certainly do that and buy a new one. You can wipe it and install Linux on it. That might work. You can try installing Chrome OS Flex. Is something brand new, experimental from Google that I installed on a Toshiba laptop from 2008 that worked a little slow. Well, it had the original hard drive, but I was surprised that everything worked. So you can install Linux on an expired Chromebook. The problem is you have to disable the write protection feature of the Chromebook, and that's one of the features which gives your Chromebook as close to 100% security as possible. If you disable that to install Linux on it because it expired, it kind of defeats the purpose of a Chromebook. Yes, you can do that. You may have success, but Chromebooks are all about speed and security, so don't do that. There is something that's fairly new that you can do that, since I was homesick, I thought I would try it, and it's called LACROS, LACROS, and that stands for Linux and Chrome OS. What Google has done with this project is the LACROS web browser, Linux web browser. What Google has done, they've taken this LACROS browser and they've split it, or detached it or separated it from the Chrome OS UI, from the Chrome OS window manager. So they've taken this project, LACROS, and they've split it separate from the operating system, which means that you can run an expired Chromebook theoretically fairly secure if what you do is mainly web browser based with LACROS, and continue to receive security patches. So you can still browse the web as securely as possible. Remember, we did not disable the write protection feature on the Chromebook, which means nasties, malware, still should not be able to break through that feature of all Chromebooks. But the web browsing part, you want to be as secure as possible. So with LACROS, which is experimental, it may or may not work. It's free. It seems to work for me in my Acer Chromebook 15. I've been testing it for a couple days, and it seems okay. Again, it's experimental. The way you install it is through what's called Chrome OS flags. The best way to describe the Chromebook flags, trying to keep it simple for newbies. Flags are basically Google's experimental division of the Chromebook. Flags are features, software, experimental things that you can enable through the Chrome web browser to add more functionality to your Chromebook. Now, they are experimental, so they may break your system. It's possible, but they are features that you can enable, specific extensions, features, whatever you want to call it, to enable on your Chromebook to add functionality to your Chromebook. In my case, it was an expired Chromebook that I wanted to extend the life as safely as possible. I don't care about the extra features that will come down the pike and in the future. Excuse me. Mainly for me on my Chromebook, I open the lid, I log in, I'm online 5 seconds. I'm as secure as possible. Check YouTube, check my emails, stream music, turn on Bluetooth, and that's it. That's what I do with my Chromebook. But I want to be secure browsing the web. And what LACROS does, Linux and Chrome OS, is to download a different version of the web browser, Linux web browser, to extend the life of your Chromebook. Now, this will not be a full tutorial. Again, my voice is not 100% back, so I apologize about that. But I did take a screenshot. Let me see if I can show you here. Yeah, I think this will work. So those of you who are watching this, I enable 3 flags to enable LACROS and LACROS support. Now, these are disabled by default for a reason, because they are experimental and they may or may not work. However, if you have an expired Chromebook that you really can't use anyway, or not safely use, what do you got to lose? So I enabled these three extensions, flags, experimental features to install LACROS to extend the life of my web browsing experience on my Chromebook. Now again, these are experimental. They may or may not work. So basically with this, I enabled LACROS support, LACROS stability, and LACROS as the primary browser. Now if you look bottom here at the taskbar, start menu, whatever you want to call it, to the far left, you can see that the Google web browser has a slightly different color, kind of pale yellowish, telling you that this is not the default web browser for your expired Chromebook. But it works just like the default web browser, as if when you bought your Chromebook new. And like I was saying, I've been testing this for the last couple days. I really didn't notice any difference. The Chromebook seems to run a little bit slower, but hey, it's 5 years old. What do you expect? But with these flags enabled, I will still continue to get the security updates, which are absolutely necessary if you want to safely continue using your expired Chromebook. Keep in mind, Chromebooks are based off a modified version of Linux. You have lots of possibilities when it comes to running something based on Linux. So, in conclusion, you have an expired Chromebook. What do? You think you bought it brand new when it was new, and now it expired, and you thought you had 5 years, 6 years support. It still runs. What can you do? Can you run it safely? As long as you don't mind enabling experimental features like Chromebook flags, and all you do mainly is just get on the web, you don't really need any extra feature updates. I really don't. I don't use my Chromebooks for live shows because the specific software that I need is not available yet for the Chromebook. Now, if Google had their own version of OBS Studio or Kdenlive, I could certainly use a Chromebook. Nowadays, they are fast enough to do live streaming, but I would like specific software. I don't have to use specific software for live stream, but that's what I've been more comfortable using. So that's why I don't use a Chromebook. The software, the development of content creator software hasn't caught up with the development of Chromebooks 10 years later. But they are certainly capable of doing much more than just web browsing. That being said, if you have an expired Chromebook and you're a little bit pissed off that it expired sooner than you thought, or it still runs, you can still run it if you enable the flags to install the LACROS modified Linux browser, and you can still get security patches, which that's what it's all about. Securely browse the web on the Chromebook as 100% as possible. Notice I didn't say privacy. To me, using the words internet and privacy in the same sentence, it's kind of like an oxymoron. It doesn't exist on the web. But you can remain secure on the web with an expired Chromebook. Okay? Again, if you buy a Chromebook 2020 or beyond, I believe it's up to 8 years support. Personally, I don't think that's bad, to get the security and feature updates from Google for up to 8 years. I think they start at 5 or 6 for a $200 version of a Chromebook, and then they go up to 8. And the best part of these Chromebooks, especially if you're running Windows and you don't know squat about Linux, it's perfect because these machines, in my experience over the last couple of years, they are maintenance free. So what that means is, if you buy a Chromebook because I said something or somebody else said something, you wanted to try it, if you buy a Chromebook and something isn't working, return it immediately, because there is nothing to fix on a Chromebook. Either it works or it doesn't work. It's not like, you may install a Linux-based system like Ubuntu, Linux Mint, Zorin, or whatever, and you install it on a computer that you have. Maybe the sound doesn't work, or snap packages are too slow, or this and that. Now you're trying to solve a puzzle. With Chromebooks, in my experience, with 2 Chromebooks, there is nothing to fix. If something isn't working, there's something wrong with the Chromebook, and return it immediately. And that's the beauty of these Linux-based systems, hardware, that they have become very quietly, slowly, the computer Linux desktop standard for the masses, because they're affordable, they work, and there's nothing to fix. From my experience with my expired Chromebook and with my other one that hasn't expired yet. So for those of you who are going to have an expired Chromebook, you don't have to get ticked off of Google yet. You can try running it through LACROS experimental web browser. It may or may not work. It's working for me. I can browse the web. I can still get the security updates and still feel fairly secure browsing the web. Again, my Chromebooks mainly catch YouTube, watch a video, play music, catch the news, email, and again, the updates are done in the background. They're not forcing you to reboot the system. It's very easy for newbies. So, to that person who had the question about how can a 3-year-old new Chromebook expired, the answer is simple. It may have been new to you, but it wasn't new when it was manufactured at that time in 2019. Chances are it was manufactured 2 years before or sometime before. You may have bought it new, but the purchase date and the manufacturing date of a Chromebook, or any computer for that matter, the purchase date and manufacturing dates are not necessarily the exact same. But don't sweat it. If you have an expired Chromebook, you might be able to extend the life, I guess, somewhat indefinitely, if you enable these 3 flags in the Chromebook and just use the modified version of the Google browser called LACROS, which stands for Linux and Chrome OS. So good luck with that. All right, another sip of wine. All right. My voice is starting to get a little bit sore, but I want to get this out to you because I think it's important. Eliminate some confusion about Chromebooks, Linux, and expiration dates and all that. So I hope this helps you out. I know I missed all of you for this live show. I apologize for that. I know it's a Monday night. It's not a big night for live shows, but I wanted to get this out because it just happened to me and I'm starting to feel better. Thank you for all of your warm, kind, best wishes after catching COVID. I'm okay. I'll be okay. I was vaccinated. Probably another week or two till I get 100% back on my feet. More concerned about my broken foot healing as quickly as possible, but I'll be okay. So thank you. Tim, thank you again for the wine. Thanks to all these supporters of the channel to make these live shows possible. That's it. Those of you who have Chromebooks, if I missed something that could help me out or somebody else out, please post it in the comments below. You can certainly send me an email if you want to sponsor a show, want to do a private donation, contribution, let me know and we'll go from there. We can do a show topic of your choice, anything related to what we do here, or news and nonsense, or whatever you want to talk about. Because at this point, I could use more news and nonsense and more laughter. What a start to the summer. But hey, I was able to fix my expired Chromebook, so I accomplished something. That's it. I'll catch you guys on the next one. You guys know how to reach me. Thanks again, and cheers to all of you. Take care.